Johnny, they were feeling low. Life's a grind, man, it was moving slow. Tired of the struggles, tired of the fight, they turned to the meat and it felt so right. With steaks on their plates and the grill fired up, they found a new rhythm and filled their cup. Joy started flowing, laughter's out of sight. Now they're living loud, embracing the night. Yeah, they went full carnivore and the joy has begun. Sickness and gloom like shadows they run. With every bite taken, they're feeling so great. Sharing their message, they just can't wait. So tune in, my friend, each Wednesday night. Join Real Talk with Brian and Johnny. What a sight. Oh, what a sight.
All right. Hello, everybody. We are live. Put the comments up here on the stage. Johnny, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Brian. I hope you are.
Yes, I am doing great today. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat. And if you haven't already said hi, go ahead and say hi in the chat. Say where you're from if you want so we can see where everybody's from. I can tell you I'm from Virginia. Johnny is from North Carolina. Rick is here. Hello.
Hey, Rick. Charge your move.
Linda is here.
Hey, Linda.
Coach Amy. Hello.
Hey, Amy.
Bacon Runner.
Bacon Runner.
DC, Wisconsin. So I'm going to guess that they're from Wisconsin. Tough guess.
Hey, DC.
Let's see. Running Tap. Hello.
Running Tap. G'day.
Carnivore Jerry.
Hey, Jerry.
Thomas, Target Prime Rib.
Listening only.
Hello?
That's fine. Thomas.
Yes. Yep. And I think that's everybody in the chat so far. So thanks for getting in the chat already. Topic tonight, we want to talk about mistakes that Johnny and I have made at the start of doing carnivore. So we hope that this can help people, any people that are newer on the carnivore diet, or maybe even if you've been doing it for a while, if you're making one of the same mistakes we've made. So we thought that'd be a good topic to just discuss and see if we can help some people out with that. And then also if people want to put in the chat their own mistakes or ideas of mistakes they've heard other people make or whatever, we can share those as well and talk about those. D. Lee is here as well.
Hey, D. Lee.
Hello. Oh, look at this. Coach Amy is from Indiana.
Mishawaka?
We'll say Mishawaka. Is that how you say it? Mishawaka, Indiana.
Yeah.
Home of the blizzard from October to May. I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio, and I heard they're getting like 5 to 6 inches of snow there today. So they're getting snow too.
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. Our topic, as we said, mistakes we've made. Johnny, I'd like to let you kind of open things up. So I'll let you go first with at least the first topic or piece, the first mistake, I guess, that you want to bring up. And then we'll kind of take the discussion from there.
Okay. Thanks, Brian. But welcome, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited. This is our second show of 2026. We're excited. I just want to ask everybody before we jump into the topic, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, give us that thumbs up, share the URL, share this video with your friends, because this may not affect you, but there are so many people right now in World Carnivore Month at the beginning of the year with their New Year's resolutions that might stumble across this video if we all share it and get the algorithm to push it out. This is a really big time to look at the carnivore diet. World Carnivore Month, January, New Year's resolutions, and we just need more and more people to look at optimizing their health going forward. Now, thank you for doing that. Having said that, the mistakes I made. Well, Brian, where do I start? You and I, Brian, we kind of agree to disagree on how to do this to begin to start the carnivore diet, especially coming from the standard American diet, which so many of us do. Your thought process, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is take it slow. Start reducing the carbs, get down to maybe 50 carbs a day to 20, kind of do the keto thing, kind of get used to that, and then take it down further. And eventually you end up carnivore. Well, I'm the guy that jumps into the pool without testing the water. Hopefully the water is deep enough when I dive in. But I went cold turkey. I was standard American diet on June 30th and full carnivore on July 1st. For me, because I'm such a carb addict, so I would so rely on ultra processed food and sugars and soda and things like that to get me through the day, that I felt like I needed that absolute clean break. And so I went into it whole hog, and I had great results right off the bat. I've told the story many times. My wife and I had found a bunch of Boston butt pork on sale at a local grocery store that, the freezer case, it had to be used, frozen or sold by that day. So we bought it all, brought it home, and I put it in the crock pot and just cooked it up. So for the first 2 weeks of my journey, I ate nothing but pulled pork with sugar-free barbecue sauce on there. I think it's Sweet Baby Ray's sugar-free barbecue sauce on there. And that's all I ate, that and water. And it worked out great as far as feeling better, getting rid of inflammation. The main reason I went on carnivore was to get rid of, or to try to reduce the pain of my plantar fasciitis. It went away completely in 2 weeks. But what I didn't do, and I didn't do enough research, is I didn't think about electrolytes. And my goodness, the leg cramps I had, because I was losing in sometimes 2 to 3 pounds a day. Now I was at 330 pounds. So 3 pounds is not a lot percentage wise, but that's a lot of water. And I was peeing like a racehorse, if you'll pardon the expression. And I didn't have any electrolytes at all. And oh my goodness, and I already have AFib. So I don't know if it made my AFib any worse. It didn't get any better, that's for sure. But the leg cramps were crazy because I didn't even think about electrolytes. I didn't increase my salt intake. I didn't get I didn't go to GNC. I didn't go to anywhere. I just didn't do the electrolytes. And once those leg cramps started, I had no way to remedy them. 2 o'clock in the morning, man, both your calves are Charlie horsed and cramped up so tight, it was miserable. So that's mistake number one, is not thinking about electrolytes when you start cutting the carbs. As you know, and our audience knows, when you cut carbs, man, your body starts just getting rid of water. Inflammation is water. Carbs hold 1 gram of carbohydrates holds 3 grams to 4 grams of water in your body. So you quit the carbs, your body's going to push that water out. That's all that weight that you lose in the beginning. But you also lose that sodium, potassium, and magnesium, which are so vital to proper health. So electrolytes was my first big mistake, not doing that.
Okay. That's a big key thing too, because like you said, that when you first go to this diet and you're losing the excess water, you lose a lot of electrolytes. So that's a big one. That's a good one. And I think that's important for everybody when they're first getting started on carnivore. You'll hear people say that, like, you don't really need to do anything about your electrolytes because carnivore is a perfect diet and all this stuff. And that's great. But when you're first getting started, things can be a little different. That's just like, I like to say that you don't really need any nutritional supplements with a carnivore diet. But when you're first getting started, you might need it at first, and then you taper off. So it's kind of the same thing with electrolytes. And I mean, I'm now 3.5 years on the carnivore diet, and there are still times that I will take some kind of electrolyte mix. Just like when I've done really a big workout or something and I've sweat a lot, especially in the summer when it's really hot. I know I can kind of tell sometimes there's some things you can kind of tell, right? Like you get the leg twitches. You might have the more of a drier mouth thirst type of thing. You might kind of feel a little bit more lightheaded. Those types of things, those all typically point to something with electrolytes. And it could be as simple as you just need a little bit more sodium, so a little bit of salt, or you might need more like I can't talk, magnesium and potassium as well. So that's a really good one. Great point. And let's see, I think we have a couple of comments in here about that. Running Tap says a bit of extra salt seems to work for me. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I still do salt all the time. I salt my steak or burgers or something like that. So I do salt every day pretty much. And I know some people don't. I just don't seem to have any kind of the bloating effects that some people will get if they're doing salt. So I do salt every day. And Cynthia says, I still take electrolytes. I get leg cramps often. Yep. And see, that's the thing too. Like a lot of people, after they've been doing carnivore for so long, they don't really need the electrolytes anymore, unless like cases like I said, like with the sweating. But then there's other people that they just need it. That's just how their body is working. They're peeing more of it out and they need it. So DC Wisconsin says, I've got my salt next to me right now. So there you go. I don't have it with me, but yeah. Speaking of salt, do you, Johnny, are you more of like a Redmond's, or do you use a different type of salt, or what do you use?
Well, when I first started this way of eating, my wife heard me talking and she went and bought this big, I don't know if she ordered it off Amazon or something, but she bought a big, trying to show big there, bag of the Redmond's real salt. I've got the coarse and then the finely ground. And so I've got these big bags of it. So I'm using that until I use it up. It works great. I don't take any electrolyte supplements anymore unless I'm either fasting, extended fasting, or if I'm working out in the summer. But I use a lot of Redmond's real salt. And when I run out of it, I thought I might try the, I think it's Baja Gold Celtic salt. I might try that. Just, I think it's similar in price to the Redmond's. I don't know why I would change. I just want to try it, just be a little bit different. But I'll probably stick with the Redmond's or try the Baja Gold Celtic salt. Either way, it's a salt that's not been bleached. It hasn't been refined, it hasn't been ultra refined, and it still has all the trace minerals in it because you need more than just the sodium. You need the trace minerals. And using a high quality salt, whether it be the Baja Gold or the Redmond's or any of the other salts that are out there that are higher quality, you're getting more than just, because the cheap table salt has been chemically bleached. That's why it's all white. Brian, if you use Redmond's, and I think you know this, it's not pure white. There's a lot of different colors in there because it hasn't been bleached out. So yeah. Redmond's is my thing. And I use a lot of Redmond's. I salt my eggs every morning. I put a lot of Redmond's salt in there. And then I had, for supper tonight, I had 4 pieces of cube steak fried in bacon grease. And I put a good bit of salt and black pepper on there. Black pepper is the one season that I still use. Salt is pretty much it, but I do enjoy black pepper, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. So when I have cube steak or something like that, I do use black pepper. But Redmond's real salt is my thing, and I use a lot of it. Weird thing about Redmond's, it doesn't taste salty. You can put a lot of Redmond's in your eggs or whatever, and it doesn't have that overpowering salty taste like the cheap salt would have.
Yeah, I use Redmond's too, so. Okay, so I have one, and it's sort of the beginning, but it's like, I guess, when you start carnivore. So my thing here is one of the biggest mistakes I made, and I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, but was really prioritizing and thinking a lot about the weight loss aspect instead of more of like the health benefits and other measurements. Like you can do like measuring your waist, measuring your legs, your arms, your chest, that kind of stuff. Right. And so I lost a lot of weight very quickly. And I think it was like 60 pounds in 3 months. Okay. So it was quick. Like that first month, it was like 20, 25 pounds, and those first 3 months went quick. And I really prioritized that and felt great. And then after that, the weight loss went way down because I was pretty big, and that was a pretty big amount of weight loss, but then it just kind of levels. Like you're not going to continue at that type of pace. and it really slowed down a lot. And I got frustrated by that. And I didn't think enough about the great health benefits I was seeing and think enough about that. And I really came close to being like, maybe I need to do something else because I wasn't losing weight anymore. Right. And so this was before I even had my YouTube channel yet. So I think I was like, I think I was about 8-9 months in when I started my YouTube channel. So yeah, I think that was a big mistake. And I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make, to concentrate on the amount of weight loss that you're having rather than the health benefits. Now, I was watching some videos, and I've said this before, like Dave Mack is one of the people that I watched a lot when I was first getting started. I was watching his videos, and watching some of his videos kind of kept me from stopping carnivore diet. So I was lucky there. But I could have fallen into the same trap that a lot of people do when they get frustrated that they're not really losing the weight. And then I wouldn't have probably had all the great benefits that I've had. Yes, in that first 3 months, I no longer had like the back pain. I wasn't really having like my joint pain, stuff like that. I had already started to notice that I wasn't having AFib episodes. So there was things like that. And I wasn't really prioritizing that, all those great things. And I was over here like, okay, I lost 60 pounds and now I can't freaking lose a pound. What is going on? Right. That's what I was doing, instead of being like, wait a minute here. I've improved all these health things. I don't snore anymore. I'm actually happier and stuff. And so that was a mistake I made. And that's a mistake that I think a lot of people make. And my warning here is just kind of, don't get too caught up in the weight loss, and don't be upset if you're not necessarily seeing a lot of weight loss right away. I was lucky that I did right away, but then it tapered off and then I got frustrated. So don't get frustrated by that. And, I got a tape measure here, measure your waist, your belly button and so forth, and do other things like that, because there are times that you don't see weight loss, but you're seeing fat loss, and that's a key towards health as well. So that's my first big mistake. What do you think about that one, Johnny?
I think you're absolutely right about that, Brian. How many people have gone on this way of eating, gone to this lifestyle, and had great success, but as soon as that scale stops moving, and you see this in the comment section of some of our videos and some of the Facebook groups that we're in and so forth. And Brian, you have your own Facebook group, but people say, well, I'm not losing any weight, so apparently this diet doesn't work for me. I'm out, without realizing the health benefits that are taking place. And I've said this a million times, and I'm not the first to say this, but healing comes before weight loss. Your liver, you've got to get your liver and your pancreas and your kidneys, they got to get healthier before that weight loss really happens. Brian, you were fortunate. Well, kind of like me, I was so fat. I had so much inflammation. I lost a lot of weight, but most of that weight was water. Again, I was a carb addict, so my diet was probably 90 to 95% carbohydrates, French fries, hamburger buns, hot dog buns, pizza, donuts, everything. So when I cut all that out, I had, water weighs 8.5 pounds a gallon, basically. But you lose, 3 gallons of water, that's 25 pounds, right? So that was where a lot of my weight loss came. So I didn't really start losing fat. And you don't lose fat until you lose the water. People say, oh yeah, you lost 10 pounds. That's just water weight. Well, yeah, exactly. But you have to lose the water before you can lose the fat. One comes before the other. But how many people have just given up on this way of eating or keto or any other thing because the weight loss stopped without even thinking about the incredible health benefits that are taking place? And I'll go a step further, Brian. One mistake that I made, and this kind of ties into what you're saying, I think if you're going to do this, and I recommend it to everybody without exception, if you're going to do this way of eating, even if you don't have a YouTube channel or any way to document it, take pictures of yourself just for yourself. If you're a woman, maybe have a sports bra on and some shorts, or if you're a guy, just have some shorts on, and then compare the pictures, put them in chronological order over a month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, because even when the scale stops moving, there will be signs. Your clothes will fit better. They'll be looser. You may need to go to the next hole on your belt. Your shoes may even get looser. That was a thing that surprised me. I lost weight in my feet. I went from a size 11 to size 10 shoe, which was a bit unusual. But take pictures. I didn't do that. I just plowed into it. I was busy. I was working at Lowe's at the time. I was on my feet. I was getting a lot of steps in. But I don't really have any documentation. I got pictures when I was really fat and pictures now that I'm not quite as fat. I don't have those in between pictures. And I do have an impedance scale, so I can see that I've gained a good bit of muscle and bone density and connective tissue that I didn't have before. And some of the fat has gone, the visceral fat and the subcutaneous fat. So I would say not documenting it. Take pictures. I don't know, journal. If you're going to journal, like Brian says, get a tape measure and measure your belly, your chest, your neck, especially for guys, measure your neck. You'll know if it's working, if you start seeing changes in those measurements, even if the scale doesn't move, because muscle and bone weigh more than fat. They're smaller and they're denser, but they still weigh more than fat. So you may be gaining, especially for women, especially postmenopausal women, you may be gaining a lot of bone density that's vital to keep you healthy and strong and vibrant as you go forward. And it shows up as a couple of pounds on the scale, but it's actually the healthiest weight you can put on, the smooth muscle and the skeletal components there.
Yeah. I made the same mistake about the pictures. I have the pictures before, and then I have pictures from like a year into carnivore, but nothing during that stage where I was really losing most of the weight. So that's a very good point. Good one. Paul is here. He says Verizon is having big issues. And yeah, I've heard that. My wife was saying that they were having issues with their Verizon. I don't have a phone. My phone is like through my work, so it's different. But yeah, I've definitely heard there's problems going on. Glad you're here though. Let's see. Okay, I think we're pretty much caught up. Amy says she took pictures every 10 pounds, so I have great documentation. That's good.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's take on more topics here, or more mistakes, I guess, within this topic. I'll go with another one and then I'll let you take one. So this one isn't necessarily a mistake I've made, but it's a mistake I see a lot of people make. And I tend to be passionate about this, so I'm going to bring it up again. And this is that people don't have a really good why that's going to keep them on track when they first get started. And you're going to hit that point that whether you're struggling with it or something, you're struggling with cravings, whatever it is. And if you don't have that good why to keep you going, to remind yourself, a lot of people end up falling off. Now, there are people that don't necessarily have the why, don't really use that, and they still get it to work and they're still good. But there's a lot of people that I talk to when they have said, yeah, I tried carnivore and it didn't work out for me or whatever. I always ask, well, why was your main reason for going to carnivore? And typically their answer is either, I just wanted to lose weight. I wanted to feel better. It's like, well, why did you want to feel better? And then they can't really give you an answer, right? So it's like, did you really have a why, a good personable why that you wanted to remind yourself of all the time? And then they'll be like, well, no. And I'm like, well, anytime you do some kind of a diet, have you ever been able to do a diet and it worked? And they're like, no. Have you ever used a good why and try and motivate yourself every day? No. Well, next time, try that, because most people you talk to that failed, that's exactly what it is that they don't have themselves a great why. So while I kind of established that I had a good why for this, so it wasn't necessarily a mistake I made. It's a mistake I hear about a lot. So I wanted to make sure that I included that one. So, okay, let's go to your next mistake that you've got.
So, we hear so much about when you first start in carnivore and you're doing your research and you're watching all the channels and reading all the blogs and everything. The diet is boring. It's boring. So my mistake was assuming that I would get tired of some of my favorite foods very early on. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty of chicken, pork, fish, beef, whatever. And if I didn't have it, I felt defeated. But what I found through 2.5 years now of doing this is I keep it pretty basic. It's really, I think life is so complicated in itself that we want to make this diet complicated. It's really not. You go to the grocery store, you go to the meat department, maybe you go to the dairy. If you do dairy, maybe you get you some fermented, like some sauerkraut or some kefir or whatever. If you're going to do ferments, you pay and you leave. I'm used to going to the grocery store and being there for 45 minutes, an hour and a half when I was doing the standard American diet, perusing every single aisle looking for that one thing that caught my eye. I tried to make this diet or this lifestyle more complicated than it needs to be. I'm fine with bacon and pasture-raised eggs in the morning and some sort of beef for dinner. And like my wife and I, we're going to have chicken wings one day. I'm on vacation this week, so we're going to have chicken wings one day this week, and that's fine. But for the most part, if I have a steak or burger patties or like tonight I had cube steak, fried in bacon grease, that's fine. Don't complicate it. You don't have to have 40 different types of meat. You certainly can. Brian, you have a lot more variety. You post on Facebook a lot of what you ate for the day, especially during World Carnivore Month, the month of January. And that's cool. I see you having some homemade, what's the sausage that you do? The homemade
kielbasa.
Kielbasa and stuff like that. And you'll have burger patties and you have steak and so forth. I found a really good deal at Sam's recently, and I got a ton of this grass-fed, grass-finished organic ground beef on sale because, so it's 3 1-pound packs together. So it's 3 pounds. And they had marked down to like $13. So I got 3 pounds of meat for 13. I just bought a bunch of it, filled my freezer up with it. So I've been having that pretty much every day, either some type of like ground beef casserole, not casserole, but we'll call it a taco with sour cream and jalapenos in there. But mostly it's just burger patties, and I dip it in kefir or I put a little sauerkraut on top of it. And I'm fine with that. But when I first started the carnivore diet, what I thought was, oh my gosh, this is going to get so boring. What am I going to do? How am I going to make this work? When in reality, when you put it in practice, I don't need all that variety. It's nice to have, and I'm not knocking those that have the time and the resources to have a different meat every night. But for me, I just need to keep it simple. And I didn't realize that starting out how easy this would actually be.
Okay. I am seeing in the comments a really good one. Bacon Runner says, not keeping cooked bacon in the fridge at all times.
Yep.
Cynthia says, why are you not keeping pre-cooked bacon? And then Bacon Runner says, I am doing that. It was an early mistake not to do it. Yep. That's a good point, because I actually kind of had a little bit of trouble with the cravings early on. And what would happen in the evenings, right? Like I'd sit there, and whether I was really hungry or not, I'd sit there, and you know how it is, like before you go to carnivore, you're sitting there in the evenings, you're watching TV. What do you want to do? You want to get like some potato chips or something, or Doritos or something like that, right? And eat. So you're sitting there. Maybe you're not even hungry, but you're thinking like, I just want to eat something. And I didn't have like necessarily bacon ready to go or butter that I could take some butter, and it's kind of hard to eat just straight butter anyway, but you know what I mean? Something you want something that's very fatty content for that, because it helps to get rid of those cravings. And I didn't really do that at first either. And I kind of struggled a little bit. And then I kind of watching different videos, heard people doing like bacon just like to get rid of cravings and stuff. So then I started to do that, where I'd have bacon. And then that helped me. And eventually I got to where I was just eating 1 meal a day and sometimes 2, that kind of stuff. But so that's a good thing for the beginning, is having that bacon. So that's a good one. Thanks for putting that in the chat, guys.
Yeah, great point.
Yep. Okay. So let's see. Do you have another one you want to bring up, or should I take one here?
I'll do another one. Not changing my routine. One of the biggest mistakes, and you just hit on this, Brian. In the evening after dinner, you're watching TV, you're sitting on the couch, whatever, you're in your man cave, or you're watching TV with your wife. It's such a habit just to pop some popcorn or get the Doritos or get a bowl of ice cream. It's almost like you do it without even thinking about it. And so many Americans, and probably people in the West in general, just do that almost unconsciously. You just go in the evening and you get a snack. Remember the term bedtime snack or midnight snack. So I didn't change my routine. So when I found that early on, I would actually eat later. So instead of eating at 5:30 or 6, I would try to eat at 8:30 or 9, which I know is eating kind of close to bedtime, but that would be my meal in lieu of snacking. Because my routine for 50 plus years was to eat dinner 6:30, 6:37. My wife would usually have supper ready when I got home from work. And then before I went to bed, I'd have but usually we'd pop microwave popcorn, we'd watch TV, or we have Doritos or chips and dip or ice cream. We've eaten, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of gallons of ice cream we've eaten, and usually right before bed. So I had to kind of change up my routine, and I didn't do it at first because I would be sitting there an hour and a half before bedtime, and I would be fidgety because, I feel like I should snack. I feel like it's time to have a snack. Wasn't hungry, didn't eat anything, had eaten plenty before, but that habitual every night for 55 years or whatever it was of having a bedtime snack. So just changing my routine, whether it be reading, praying, meditating, going to bed earlier, going for a walk on a really nice, summer evening around in my neighborhood. I live in a pretty safe neighborhood. So just not changing my routine to expect that just changing what I ate at the meal was going to change the way I looked at food or my relationship with food was a mistake. And I really needed to do something different with my routine to break those 55-year habits. So just getting out of the routine of bedtime snack, things like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. I'm going to go with another one here, and then we can see what's in the comments again and stuff. This one has to do with cheese. Now, I know not everybody is necessarily affected by cheese, but I think I kind of was. I'd say this is probably the first 6 months or so. I ate a lot of cheese because I said, it comes from an animal. It's carnivore. I'm eating cheese. So I'd have cheese with my meal. I'd make eggs and I'd put a bunch of cheese on it, right? It wasn't necessarily always the best cheese either. It was cheese, but it wasn't necessarily the best. It wasn't, coming from a block, necessarily aged and fermented, that kind of stuff, right? So I ate a lot of cheese, and I think that did definitely hamper me a little bit and probably bloated me a little bit. And like I said, after like that first 3 months, I kind of had that plateau where I didn't lose anything. And it's been very slow really since then. I've probably lost since then 25 pounds or so, 25 to 30 pounds. So in 3 years, that's not a lot, right? But I think that cheese really did affect me a lot more than I wanted to believe. So I think that's a mistake. Be careful with cheese. Limit the cheese to a smaller amount. And if you can, make sure, try not to get the stuff in a bag. If you can, try and get like the blocks, maybe an aged cheese that's fermented, which is better for your gut, that kind of thing. So that's what I would say with cheese. All right.
Yeah, for me, cheese wasn't a big deal. I ate a lot of cheese before. I still eat a pretty good bit of cheese. I had some cheese tonight. To go off topic just a minute, I got some mozzarella cheese. Not the best. It was in the bag, pre-shredded, but didn't have any Didn't have any of the what's the wood pulp stuff they put in there to keep it from clumping. Anyway, it was a little bit better cheese than the cheapest stuff, but put some Swiss, no, not Swiss, mozzarella cheese in a frying pan, kind of let it melt, then put 2 pieces of pepperoni on there, and then folded it over once the cheese got completely melted, and let it. And I put my lid on my frying pan and made little pizza rolls, if you will. So I still eat cheese, and it doesn't really affect me. I don't think. I could probably cut it out and see. I don't eat a lot of it anymore, but when I do, I don't hate myself for doing it. I don't have any ill effects. I don't think I get bloated. But yeah, I quit completely drinking milk. I don't drink milk of any kind at all. None. No kind of milk at all. No 2% whole milk, nothing. I don't know. I just my wife, it's in the refrigerator. My wife has it with her cereal and stuff, but I just completely cut out milk. Now I do have heavy whipping cream in my coffee, but you know, if you shake heavy whipping cream long enough, you get butter. But I eat a lot of butter. That's a recent phenomenon. I get the Kerrygold, which is the grass-fed cows, salted butter, and you'd be surprised how satiating that can be. And so at night, if I eat really early in the day and then at night I say, well, I kind of want something before I go to bed to make sure I get a good night's sleep. A couple of bites of just Kerrygold butter by itself. It doesn't spike your insulin, doesn't raise your blood sugar, and it's very, very satiating. So I'm leaning on butter a lot lately, and so far in 2026, I've been 99% perfect with my diet every day so far this year. So that butter, I think, has been, I want to call it a crutch, but it's something that's really helped me stay on plan. So we'll do plenty of that in the future until it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I got another thing, Brian. I just thought of one. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, let me bring this up real quick. Coach Amy says, I'm 6 months in. I still feel snacky at night, and I'm eating really clean. I think that I had those evening cravings for several months too. I'm pretty sure it was several months. And really, I think I've said this before, but like the holiday time period where there's a lot of different temptations of different foods. I've gone through 4 holidays now, and the first 3 were struggles for me. It wasn't until this 4th one that I actually didn't feel the cravings for those foods as I saw them. And this kind of brings me to, what was the other thing I saw? Cynthia says, chewing sugar-free gum while cooking for the family keeps me from sampling mindlessly. That it would be an issue for me. Like that has happened to me before. My son will ask like if I can make something up for him, and he doesn't eat carnivore, so I will make it up, and I will catch myself sampling. No, I haven't done that in quite a while, but I would do that, and I'd be like, wait a minute, why am I it's just because I'm making this, like I'm tasting it. It's like, no, I got to stop doing that. It's not good. I shouldn't be doing that. So that definitely happens to me. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead with the next one you're going to say.
So when I first started, you know, and this is still true to this day to some degree, but I'm getting much better at it. I didn't want to be the odd man out. So at the time I was working at Lowe's as just a floor sales clerk at Lowe's. And you know, Lowe's was really good about having lunch brought in for their employees. If somebody had an anniversary that was their 10th anniversary of working there, if we had an employee that was retiring, I mean, they would always bring in food and have it catered. They really did it up right. And I didn't want to seem odd. So I would not stay on plan because of the peer pressure. And this is not other people putting pressure on me. This is me just not wanting to be the odd man out, not wanting to stand out. So I should have been stronger in my conviction. Like you said, Brian, my why should have been stronger. And when your why is really strong and you really know what you're doing and why you're doing it and exactly what you're hoping to get out of it, it becomes easier. And I'm not saying being a jerk to your coworkers or to your family members or if you go out or whatever. Just politely, just don't eat the bun on the burger. Order a steak and get a salad with or whatever on the side, and just eat the cheese and the egg or whatever. There's a way to be a part of the fun times of going out and be a part of a group or whatever, without having to announce, I'm carnivore, I don't eat that. My wife always asks me, where do I want to go to eat, or I can find something. and I'll say, we'll go where you want to go, and I'll just find something that fits within my guidelines. And it works out every time. But when I first got started, I was so afraid of making other people uncomfortable or making them think less of me for whatever reason. But that's when I would really struggle, was when I was with other people. You and I have talked about that. You know, your wife would travel a lot, I guess, when your daughter moved to to South Carolina. When you're home by yourself, it almost seems easier to do than with other people. Well, take that to a job situation where there's tons of people eating at a gathering, and everybody's eating the potato chips and the potato salad and the desserts, and you're the only one there that's not. So I've gotten a lot better at this, but that was my first thing. But the inverse is true, I guess, also, Brian. When you start and you realize how good you feel and how easy this is, you become an evangelist. You want to shove this down everybody else's throat, whether they want to hear it or not. So that would be another mistake. I know I was really big on that, trying to convince other people pretty much one-on-one. Hey, you need to do this. I don't care what's wrong. This will fix everything that's broken about you. Do this. And you got to take cues from people. Hey, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I wasn't real good in accepting those signals. So that's two into one there, I guess.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Funny story, when shortly after I started carnivore for work, we had this dinner thing, and there was a lot of leaders there, managers, directors, so forth. There was like vice president there, so forth. And of course, we went to a place that didn't really have a lot of meat options. So I got salmon because that was the one thing I could get, right? But there was like the sides that come with it and everything, and I didn't touch it. So I'm sitting here at this little bit of salmon. I eat the salmon. I mean, I probably get done eating in like 10 minutes, and everybody's eating their sides, and yeah, they get like salad, and then they get like soups, and all this stuff comes in. And I'm just sitting there. It's like a work dinner related thing, so it's like hour, 2 hours, whatever going on. And I'm sitting there, and I am so hungry. I can't wait to go back to the hotel so I can actually eat like a burger or something that I have in the little mini fridge. I'm like, this is crazy. But that was the kind of thing that happened. I haven't had to do a dinner thing like that since then, but I did have to go in the office today, and we had a meeting at lunchtime, and they had food brought in, and I actually just fasted. I didn't eat at work today. But it was interesting because they brought in sub sandwiches with like bread like this thick, and Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and then they had like the little sides and desserts and stuff like that. And I'm like looking around, and it's just interesting, like all these people, like it is amazing to me. I guess I've never noticed this in the past, but like, you get like a cookie or something, and like most people had like 3 or 4 of the cookies, and they're like this big. I don't know if you can see it properly, but they had like 3 or 4 of the cookies. And I'm like thinking like, man, that used to be me. Now I'm just sitting here, I'm not eating anything. There was one guy though, he was there, he was eating, but he didn't get anything from there, from the table. He brought it in from his desk. And the lady that was running everything, she's like, so you brought in your own food? And he's like, yeah, I needed something healthier than what you're gonna have for this. And I didn't get a chance to talk to him because there's a lot of people. I wish I would have gotten a chance to talk to him, because I think he's carnivore, because he had 2 burger patties with no buns. I've never seen anybody else at work that actually was carnivore. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm pretty sure he's carnivore or low carb or something towards that effect. But that was pretty cool. Like, those are definitely challenges that you run into, especially like in that work environment or something, and I totally understand where you were coming from with the whole restaurant thing with your wife. I've found that most places we can go to, I can find something. But the interesting thing is, I think a lot of those restaurants cook even their steaks or whatever in like some sort of seed oil or something. And I just don't feel as good after I eat those meals. So I don't know if my wife gets annoyed about it or not, but we actually don't go out to eat as near as much as we used to. And sometimes she'll just go get herself something and bring it back home to eat, just because she knows I'm not going to want to go. I'd rather just cook my own food at home. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It, earlier on, I was doing the restaurant thing more often, but I don't do it that often anymore. I think it's just because of how they're cooking it. The food, the oils or whatever that they're using. I don't think they're using like butter and that kind of stuff. So
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, Brian, because my wife and I still eat out a good bit. It's just the two of us here, and it's just so much easier sometimes to go grab something at a restaurant and not have to go to the grocery store and buy and dishes to wash and all that stuff. But there's a breakfast place here. It's a local place. They've got 5 or 6 locations. It's called Breakfast Time, and they have a meat lover's omelet. And I usually, for $1.99, it's a 3-egg omelet. For I think $1.99 more, you can get a 4-egg omelet. And it's got sausage, bacon, and smoked sausage in the omelet and cheese. And their butter, I noticed their butter that they have on the table for like your bread or whatever is grass-fed butter. It's in the little thing like the Country Crock thing, but it's grass-fed butter. So we'll go there, and I usually have a cup of coffee. I have the omelet, and I may get a side of bacon or a side of smoked sausage to go with it. And then I'll eat 3 or 4 of the little containers of butter. That's kind of like my little snack or side, if you will. And then we go to, we wear this place out, Logan's Roadhouse. We go to Texas Roadhouse from time to time, but you can watch them cook. They have the open fire. They don't use any oils whatsoever with their steak. And I have requested my steak with no seasoning on it, and they were glad to oblige me. I said, look, I'm allergic to multiple seasonings. So they just cook it and bring it to me, and I put some butter on it. Now, I don't know that the butter at Logan's Roadhouse is real. I think it may be margarine or some type of spread made with vegetable oil. But I'm pretty good about that. But we don't venture out many other places. We do go a few barbecue restaurants, and I'll get like either the brisket or pulled pork with no seasoning or no sauce on it, and it works out pretty good. And I've never, now, I mean, we limit where we go out to eat, but I've never felt bad after eating out. I've never had that experience where, gosh, there must have been something that they cooked with that didn't agree with me. But then again, we only go to those 3 or 4 places. We don't really ever go anywhere else.
yeah.
So it's pretty easy to control if you go to the same place.
And I'd say it's not that I necessarily feel bad. I just don't feel as good. Like,
Right.
Maybe it's kind of hard to explain, but like when I eat at home, a lot of times I feel great after eating.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I go there, it's like, I don't know that I feel that great. It's not that I necessarily feel bad, but I don't feel the same. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Coach Amy said she went to a Christmas party and she got 5 tiny bites of steak, maybe 2 to 4 ounces. She said no French fries, and they brought them anyway because the restaurant realized there would be nothing on the plate. So we're talking about this, and I'm saying that I don't go out to eat that often anymore, but I did actually the other day with my wife. We went to Mission Barbecue because she wanted to go there. So I was like, sure, I'll go. And they've got like they call it the meat plate or something like that. And you get like 2 or 3 different meats. And so I got 2 different meats, and it said like they were like the full meat amounts, whatever. So I got that. She got whatever she got was just like 1 meat, but she got sides with it and stuff, right? And we get down to the table, we're waiting, and then they call the order. So I go pick it up. I get back to the table. Her meat, there was more meat there than my supposed meat plate had. And she's like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't get more. And I'm like, I already spent $15 for this. I'm like, I can't believe this. This is why I eat at home. I spent $15 for this. I'm going to be friggin' hungry when we're done. And I could have gotten a steak from Costco for $9.99 a pound that I cut up. I could have had 24 ounces and be stuffed for the same price, and I'm going to be freaking starving. And she's like, well, you're not going to be starving because I can't eat all this meat, so I'm going to give half it to you. but you know, that's another problem I have with going out to eat. Like, it's so much more expensive than if I just eat the stuff at home.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to bring up here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
DC, Wisconsin says, I cannot have cow dairy in any form. It is awful going to a restaurant and telling them detailed instructions on my order. So no steak with butter, flavored oil. Yes, I can have mayonnaise. So this kind of goes with like what you were talking about. I think you mentioned Texas Roadhouse, where you can do that stuff. It is kind of somewhat embarrassing. I go to Texas Roadhouse sometimes and I'll do stuff that's kind of embarrassing in my order. And it doesn't really embarrass me, but I think sometimes it embarrasses my wife because I will ask for the salad with just egg and cheese. And they looking at me like, okay, so you want a salad with egg and cheese? I'm like, well, but I just want the egg and cheese. I don't want the salad part. Oh, well, what kind of salad dressing do you want? No, I just want egg and cheese. Egg and cheese, nothing else. So you don't want the lettuce? No, I just want egg and cheese. And like half the time they will go, and like 5 minutes later, a manager comes over and they're like, so-and-so just wanted me to make sure that you got your order right. You really just want egg and cheese? It's like, I'm thinking to myself, why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult? Like, yes, egg and cheese. And there are other people, like I've seen Carrie Mann order this before, talk about it on YouTube. Like there's other people that do it. Why every time I do it, is it such a big deal? I don't know. But I totally get that, like how it is so interesting trying to give them detailed instructions to the type of order you want. That's another thing that is kind of a down thing for me for going to restaurants. So
yeah. So when my wife and I go to Logan, we go to Texas Roadhouse sometimes, but Logan's Roadhouse is our favorite steakhouse. We know all the waitresses there. We go there a lot. So they have a steak called the Logan. It's a 10-ounce sirloin, and I get it medium. Sometimes it's closer to medium rare, but that's fine. And I'll order. So you get two sides with it. So my sides, I always get two baked potatoes with butter and sour cream on the side. And I used to say, but don't bring the potatoes. But I got so tired of trying to explain that to them. I let them bring the potatoes. And of course, they're wrapped in aluminum foil. So I let my wife bring those home. And then over the course of the week, she'll either eat them or throw them out. And sometimes she eats them. So it's like we're using the food. But then I just eat the butter and sour cream as a topping for my steak. And it works out great. But yeah, I used to, be detailed. Don't bring the potatoes, do this. Now just bring it all and I'll get rid of what I don't want. But it's a pretty good deal. It's like $16 for 10 ounce, and it's usually cooked very well. I don't know what seasoning they use, but theirs is pretty good actually. And they cook it on a grill, not a griddle, but a grill. So there's no oils of any kind. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. Sorry, just kind of going through some of the comments and catching up here, making sure I'm not missing anything good. But I have done that too with the baked potato, where I was like, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. I'm just going to order the baked potato and I'll eat the butter and sour cream off it. And I'm like to my wife, here, do you want me to box this for you at home? And you can put her own butter on it later or something. She'll be like, yeah. So I've done that too. Where is it? So Peter says that they brought in free pizzas at work today. But he was strong. Sodas as well. He was strong. And he didn't have any. Good job.
Yep. Good job, Peter. Although I have seen people get like a meat lover's pizza and just eat all the toppings off it. Don't eat the bread. Just eat the cheese and the meat and all that stuff. But I'd probably too tempted
do like
to
a chicken crust or something like that. Yeah. You could do like a chicken crust. Right, yeah. I've kind of gotten to the point where, and it's been a while since I've done this, but I think I did this like maybe 6 months ago, where there was pizza at the house and I was like, I could just kind of take a couple of pepperonis off there, but maybe I'm just going to have a piece of pizza. And I've gotten to that point where when I do that and I take a bite, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't even taste good anymore. Like,
yeah,
I remember saying to my wife, like, I can literally taste like the what is it like the grains or something in the dough. Like I'm like, can you taste that? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, I could really taste it. Like it doesn't taste good. I don't know. So I think I'm at a good turning point there. But yeah, I don't know. I see Rick saying too, most pizza is disgusting. I think like when you've been eating this way long enough, you start to notice that with other food. But before, when you were eating it all the time, you think it tastes so great.
Right. Yeah.
Bacon says all humans love pizza, Peter. Well, except maybe for Rick. I will say that I have done like a at your home, make your own type of pizza thing, right? Like my wife will do that sometimes, where they'll do that, and I will make. I'll take some cheese and egg and make the chaffle, and use that and then put a little more cheese and like pepperoni, ham, whatever on top of it, and just kind of pretend it's like a pizza. I've done that before, and that's kind of good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so Rick says he likes one kind of pizza. What is it? I bet you it's some kind of chicken. Did he answer?
What is it, Rick? What kind of pizza, Rick?
I'm looking. I don't think he's.
Yeah,
It's got to be like a heart. It's got to be like a heart attack pizza or something. Yeah. Bacon says heart attack pizza. He hasn't responded back. You got to let us know, Rick. What kind of pizza is it?
Rick's pacemaker pizza.
Yeah, pacemaker pizza. Iguana crusted cheese. Oh, yeah.
You know, I did have the cheese and pepperoni tonight. That was good.
Yeah. You've made that a few different times. I remember when it was on our live stream once when you were showing it, right?
Yeah.
With like the rolled up.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Bacon Runner says, I keep things very simple now. One ingredient meat. It's funny because you said that it seems like I have a good variety of stuff on carnivore, and I feel like I don't. So that's funny that you said that, because I kind of feel the same way. Like, I mean, I will have something like kielbasa is something that I make from scratch at the holiday time, because it's like I'm Polish. I'm not really from Poland. I was born here in the United States, but like my grandparents were born in Poland and came over young, right? And that is a staple in Polish food, and especially at Christmas time. So Christmas and Easter, actually. So I like to make kielbasa, and I have that this time of year. Typically, I don't have that. In most of my food is probably going to be beef. Occasionally, I'll eat eggs. Occasionally, I'll have chicken wings. That's mostly it. Sometimes maybe a little bit of pork or chicken thighs, but most of the time it tends to be beef. And when I do eat something else, like chicken thighs or chicken wings, let's say, I don't necessarily get as full as I get from the beef for as long of a period of time, and I don't seem to feel as well because of that. So I seem to do best when I'm eating beef, or that ruminant red meat, like we're talking like bison, those types of things, right?
Yep.
Let's see. We must have lost Rick. He never did say what kind of pizza.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Hey, can you look at Brian? Look at 858 Carnivore Jerry. You see that 858?
Yep.
Click on that.
My why is not well accepted by many because I have now lived longer than my mom's cancer diagnosis, and I do not want to die such a horrific death. Boy, I can't talk. No food tastes better than life.
Yeah, talk about a strong why.
Exactly. That is a very good why. because it's very personable to you, right? It doesn't matter what other people think. It's what's personable to you, and that is going to be very motivating to you. So that's a great why for you. I've often shared my why has to do with my kids, watching them grow up, get married, have kids of their own, being able to spend time with the grandkids, being able to spend time with my wife as I get older, that kind of thing. And it's the same type of thing, right? It's very personable and passionate for me. Well, it doesn't necessarily have like the health piece that you have there with your mom's cancer diagnosis. They both fit that same style of the very personable, passionate why. So that's a great why.
Yep. And see, that's kind of what I'm missing my why. I mean, I've got whys now. I mean, there are goals I want to reach. Obviously, in my line of work, I see so many people who are sick and metabolically unhealthy, and they're in a really bad way. You know, people in nursing homes at the age of 52, 53. I see it every day. But my why originally, and we're talking about when you first start the carnivore diet, I had plantar fasciitis in my feet, Brian. And you know, you've heard this story 1,000 times. I apologize for saying it again, but there's some people here who might be new. But I was 350 pounds, and I had unbelievably bad plantar fasciitis in my feet. My feet hurt. I can't even describe how bad my feet hurt every single day. I couldn't get away from it. If I stood up for more than about 10 minutes, my feet would be inflamed. And I worked at Lowe's on a concrete floor all day long. And I thought, you know, if I could just lose 30 or 40 pounds, maybe 50 pounds, maybe my feet would still hurt, but not hurt this bad, because it had become almost to the point it was unbearable. I was going to have to like retire on disability or something. And so I went on the diet. The first thing I ate was that pulled pork, because we had so much of it. And I ate pulled pork with Sugar Ray, Sweet Baby Ray's sugar-free barbecue sauce. I ate it every day for 2 weeks. And my plantar fasciitis I started on July 1st, and on July 15th, the morning of July 15th, exactly 2 weeks after I started, I woke up that morning and the plantar fasciitis was gone. And that was July 15th, 2023. Yeah. And it never came back. So it worked. And I'd only lost 6 or 8 pounds. I hadn't lost, tons of weight. But then I started having less pain in my lower back. I used to suffer with lower back pain, working on concrete on your feet all day. It's really easy to have lower back pain. Completely gone, never came back. Hip pain gone, never came back. So I kind of achieved my why early on, the original why. And so now maybe that's why I have such a tough time staying on, is that I feel so daggum good. And, my mom passed away at 76 from cancer about 8 years ago now. She smoked most of her life. She had died of lung cancer. I've never smoked in my life. I've never even tried it. My real dad, who's 82, he'll be 83 in June. He's still extremely active, very, very with it, if you will. He's he just bought a brand new Ford F-250 not long ago. He works on a farm. He raises beef cattle. So I'm trying to reinvent my why going forward to help me be, a little more strict on a consistent basis going forward. And reading the story, Jerry's story about her mom passing away, kind of helps me put things in perspective, that I really do need to find that why, so that I don't end up being, for my kids, being the parent that passed away from cancer that was unpreventable because I didn't follow a good, proper human diet.
Running Tap says she got rid of her plantar fasciitis via an exercise from Dr. Berg.
Yeah, I didn't do anything particular. I just quit eating carbs, and it just disappeared overnight. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, knock on wood, it didn't come back. I hope it never does, because that was miserable.
Yeah. Okay, so Bill here wants to know if there's any police here. And then he says usually once a week or so, I eat I don't even know how I can say this. Pepperoni. See, I'm obviously not schooled properly in education. Tonight he ate 2. And I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm not gonna police you on that. I think everybody should do what they feel is right. And if you can have a little bit of stuff like that and it doesn't affect you, then that's more power to you.
I ate
So
pickled
don't let other
jalapenos a
people
couple of
affect
times.
you with that stuff.
Yeah, I ate pickled jalapenos a couple of times a week in my ground beef. They're pickled. I don't know. They're not fermented, but they're pickled, and I don't think it's ever caused me any problem. They're very, very low carb, and it's just a very small amount, and it makes my food taste good.
So we got somebody that just came in, it looks like. Camden Wise, hello. Says, hi, everyone.
Camden
Love this
Wise.
channel. This is my first day of carnivore. So congratulations on your first day of carnivore. I don't know if you've been able to watch the whole video. If not, hopefully you can watch the replay and see some of the stuff at the beginning where we were talking about some of the mistakes we've made. So maybe that can help you. But I hope that you do well. And you can reach out to us if you have any questions. So you can also in the chat now, if you have any questions, you can ask us questions. And everybody in the chat is usually good about answering questions as well. So good to have you here.
Yeah, just put a large Q in front of your thing, and then we'll see that it's a question. Make sure we don't overlook it.
Yep. Okay, let's see. I think, did you have any other mistakes you wanted to bring up? I think I pretty much.
Yeah, it's not really a mistake. It's just if I had it to do over again, and I kind of have started over multiple times, I probably would have put more exercise. I would have put more emphasis, because the carnivore diet, Brian, you and I, we actually did a show about this, as the things that go along with it. We talked about doing the electrolytes, especially when you first start to be that. But we look at strictly as a diet. This is the carnivore diet. I'm evolving and trying to evolve and consider this the carnivore lifestyle. What I mean by that is focusing on turning off my social media, turning off your phone, going to bed earlier, getting a really good night's sleep, trying to reduce stress, maybe get out and walk. Of course, I love doing sprints. I actually did some sprints today, lifting weights, things like that. Do you need to do all that to be successful on carnivore? No, the truth is you don't. I mean, there's been hundreds of people who have done great on carnivore and didn't change their activity level at all. It's just that it kind of leveled me up. As good as I felt during carnivore, when I started adding resistance training, sprinting, focusing on stress reduction and going to bed earlier, it just leveled me up. I didn't think I could feel any better, and then I felt better. And then Brian and I recently, about the same time, Brian and I discovered adding just a little bit of ferment to our meals, whether it be sauerkraut, kefir, good culture cottage cheese, just doing little things like that. Even took it to another level. So I don't know that it was a mistake, but if I had it to do over again, I would have implemented those things, Brian, a little earlier in the process than 2.5 years out. It didn't hurt me, I don't think, but it kept me from being, because when you feel so crappy, Brian, like you did and I did, and most people on here except Rick felt, before you go carnivore, then you go carnivore, you feel like you just won the Powerball lottery. I mean, you can't believe how good you feel. And you tend to think, at least I did, that it can't get any better than this. This is as good as I'm ever going to feel, because I feel amazing. And then you add in the resistance training, the better sleeping, the meditation or whatever, the ferments, getting out in the sunshine. And then you realize that you had only really achieved 80% of what really, really true optimal health feels like. So if I had it to do over again, I would have incorporated more of that kind of stuff, the adjunct stuff that we've talked about earlier in the process.
What did I see? Something just came. Okay, bring this up real quick. DC, Wisconsin. Brian, I like your HIIT exercise on the Facebook. I need to modify for my ability, but I like the 1, 2, 3, 4 type plan. It is a great workout. It really brings that high intensity thing. And what it does, you kind of go up 1, 2. These are reps, right? 1 rep, 2 rep, 3 reps, all the way up to like 10. When you're doing that 10 rep set, or you're doing like whatever it is, I can't even remember now, 5 or 6 exercises, like you're using everything you got to get through those. It's a great workout. So it's a really good workout. I want to go back really quick. Camden, since you're on here right now, I did respond to your comment on a video earlier, and I said that I would do a video about fasting, and I will. So I'm gonna do a more in-depth thing. But since you're here, let's talk a little bit about fasting, because that was one question that Camden had. So I'll talk a little bit about what I do for fasting. First of all, there's kind of the intermittent fasting, and then there's more regular fasting. And for me, I make sure that I do intermittent fasting all the time, whether it is a 24 hours. So I eat once a day, 24 hours, or maybe if I eat twice, it's still going to be about an 18-hour fast, because I'm going to eat within 6 hours of each other probably. Okay. So there's an 18-hour intermittent fast or a 24-hour intermittent fast pretty much every day that I do. And it's just normal for me. There's nothing that I really have to do for that or anything. It's just kind of how I do things. Then I will do like a 48 or a 72-hour fast that I've been doing probably about once every 2 weeks, maybe once a week, every week and a half, somewhere in there. And there's a little bit to that when you go back to eating, because when you have not ate for like 48 hours or 72 hours, your digestive system kind of shuts down. And if you just go back right away and you eat like a big meal, like a steak or whatever, you're going to have issues. And I mean, as in, you're going to be running to the bathroom for the next couple hours, like multiple times. So what I will do, and again, I'll do a video where I explain this a little bit more, but just really quick, since you're on here, what I will do in those situations when I've got to my time, whether it's 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever, I like to start with a drink that has like some collagen in it, or what's the thing that I want to say?
Bone broth?
Beef broth. Yes, beef bone broth or something like that, right? So I will drink that. And then like maybe a half hour or so later, I'll have like 1 or 2 eggs. And then about an hour later, I'll have the full meal. And so that meal will be like a steak or something, right? So I kind of ease in after I've done that 48 or 72-hour fast. Now, I will say, even with that easing in, I still most likely am going to go to the bathroom at least once, about an hour or two later. That's just part of the process that I haven't been able to completely get rid of with my fasting. That happens because you kind of shut down your digestive system there for a while. Your body's doing a lot of healing things within your body, and then all of a sudden you introduce food again. So that's kind of how it works for me. Gianni, do you have any experiences with fasting that you want to share?
Yeah, I've done multiple 48-hour, 72-hour fasts. And then, Brian, if you remember last July, the end of June into July, I did a 100-hour fast, my longest fast ever. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be. And I'm reading the comments, and people are giving Camden some great advice. If today's your first day of carnivore, I wouldn't necessarily go into fasting right off the bat. The key to success in fasting is having your body be fat adapted. Now, what I mean by fat adapted is your body is used to burning fat for energy. You produce ketones, thus the ketogenic diet. So you produce ketones as a source of fuel for your body. If you're eating carbohydrates, your body uses sugar or carbs for fuel. And you have carb spikes where you eat a meal, it's got carbohydrates in it, your insulin spikes, and then it comes back down, and then it spikes, and it comes back down. And it's very, very, very difficult to fast when you're in that cycle of peak and valley within the insulin world there. So if you can just focus on eating 70-30 or 80-20 or whatever fat to protein with no carbs, keep your carbs as low, as close to zero as possible. Now, I eat a lot of eggs, and there's trace carbs in eggs, but it's pretty darn close to zero overall. It's less than 1% of my calories come from carbs, probably less than 0.5%. But you want to get your body fat adapted first. And you'll know when you're fat adapted, because when you're fat adapted, to me, when you eat a meal, you don't feel any different at the end of the meal than you did at the beginning of the meal. When you eat a meal full of carbs, you get that stuffed, bloated, oh my gosh, feeling when you get the eating. When you're fat adapted and your body's burning fat for energy, you're simply replacing the fuel that you've burned in the form of ketones. So you'll know when you're fat adapted, in my opinion, when you've been doing this for a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and you don't feel any different. When you get through eating a meal, you don't feel any different at the end of the meal that you did at the beginning of the meal. You're just not hungry. It's a phenomenon I didn't even realize would happen. So then maybe you can look into doing fasting. Now, the intermittent fasting Brian's talking about, where maybe you just eat 1 meal a day, or maybe eat 2 meals within a 6-hour window and then fast for 18 hours. You can do that at any time. That's not long enough to really, really, really make it too tough. You can push through that, drink some water, put some salt on your tongue, something like that. But if you try to do fasting right off the bat, extended fasting, and you still haven't got your body fat adapted, it's going to be very, very difficult, and you're going to feel terrible, and it will probably discourage you. So I wouldn't necessarily try to do extended fasting right now. Let that be a target a month from now. Do the intermittent fasting now, like Brian was talking about, and really work on getting your body fat adapted by eliminating all the source of carbohydrates you can. But don't forget those electrolytes as you pee off a bunch of water, because you will when you cut out carbohydrates. You might not have heard this earlier, Camden, but for every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you eat, your body holds on to 3 to 4 grams of water. And that's what the carbohydrates are stored in water. So when you quit eating carbs, you're going to pee like crazy. Well, you don't just pee water, you pee sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So get you some electrolytes. I use this is not a plug, and they're not sponsored by these people, but the LMNT unflavored electrolytes. They're a pretty good balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium. You can make your own. There's other brands. The Sol T brand is out there. I do the unflavored because I don't want anything sweet being entered into my repertoire there, because it just makes me crave more sweet things. But do that. Get fat adapted. Don't forget to use the electrolytes to keep from getting those muscle cramps and the crazy heart rhythms. And then once you're completely fat adapted, you go for a 72-hour fast. See how long you can go. 72 hours. You do like me, do a 100-hour. And then when I break my fast, I usually make me a couple of scrambled eggs and just some butter. That's it. Very, very small. And to Brian's point, every time I've done an extended fast, when I eat that meal, and I do the same one every time, it's just some scrambled eggs and a little bit of butter and some water with a little bit of salt in the water. I still go to the bathroom one time. About an hour later, I am running to the bathroom. So I don't break a fast when I've got to go to work. That's for darn sure. But you'd be surprised how good you'll feel, how different your life will be if you can grab hold of this way of eating, this way of living, and stick to it for an extended period of time. You will be surprised at how good life can actually be.
And Bill was kind of getting to exactly what you were saying, which is a good point. Fasting is usually later on. Now, in his case, he said, I don't think he started fasting until 8 months in. For me, I didn't actually until I was over 3 years before I did a real 48 or 72-hour fast. This is a newer thing in the last few months for me. But I did, like Johnny said, I was doing intermittent fasting pretty much right from the start, which can be 2 meals a day if you want it to be in 18 hours, or it could be 24 hours, or 1 meal a day, whatever. So OMAD, 2MAD, whatever. Intermittent fasting is a good way to get started. And they're both right. Johnny and Bill are both right. You probably don't want to do a full 48, 72 or more hour fast right off the bat. Give it a little bit of time before you go into that. Now, we do have a question here. How does fasting affect AFib? Johnny, I'll ask you, but before that, I'll just say it does not. Now, I haven't had an AFib episode in 3.5 years. So there's that. But I will say this. When I fast, and probably by the time I've gotten to about 18 hours or so, my heart rate actually is lower. And it stays lower. And that's a good thing with AFib, because the higher your heart rate is, the more likelihood increase that you could go into an AFib episode, especially have like me. Johnny has persistent AFib, which is different than mine. Mine, I butcher it every time, so I'm not even going to say it starts with a P, but it's the kind that comes and goes. You can tell. You can say it for me, Johnny, because I always get it wrong.
Paroxysmal.
There we go. So that's the AFib I have. So for me, fasting actually, it seems like it's better for it. I'll be like 36, 48 hours in, and I'll be looking at my Fitbit at my heart rate. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like 55 right now. Like it has gotten so low. So that's how it's been for me. So Johnny, do you have any experiences that you can give with fasting and the AFib that you have?
Yeah. I mean, for me, so what I know, because if you don't know, guys, I'm a paramedic. I'm only 3 classes and a test away from being an RN. I've worked in healthcare most of my adult life, and I suffer from AFib. I've had AFib for persistently for 2 years now. I'm in it right now. I'm in it 24/7. It never goes away. But one thing I do know, and I learned a lot of this from watching Dr. Sean O'Mara. You guys look him up, Dr. Sean O'Mara, and he talks about visceral fat. He's probably the world's foremost expert on visceral fat. Now, when you look at a human heart, and I've done autopsies, it was part of my training to become a paramedic, and you look at a human heart and it's got this yellow fat all throughout the muscle. That's called epicardial adipose tissue. So fat gets in there. It's in your heart. That's one of the causes that they're now linking to AFib is excess fat or epicardial adipose tissue, fat within the heart muscle itself. When you fast, your body begins to break down visceral fat. It's one of the first fats it goes to. It doesn't necessarily go to the subcutaneous or the fat that's up under your skin there. It's the fat that's in your organs, especially in your heart. So fasting can be very therapeutic for helping with AFib. Now, I'm not talking about doing a 30-day fast, but doing intermittent fasting, 72-hour fast, things like that. Anything you can do to help reduce the visceral fat within your organs, in this case, your heart, it can actually help AFib. Dr. Tony Hampton did a great video on fasting and how it can help AFib, probably 4, 5, 6 months ago. Look up Dr. Tony Hampton. He's a fantastic physician. Look him up on YouTube and look for that video he did on AFib and fasting and visceral fat. Sean O'Mara, Dr. Sean O'Mara, me and Brian both follow Sean pretty closely. Dr. Sean, he's, let's say, the foremost expert on visceral fat. He talks about getting rid of visceral fat through things like the carnivore diet, sprinting, and fasting, and it can actually help to eradicate AFib in the heart. For me, even when I did the 100-hour fast back in the last part of June and the first part of July, I didn't notice any different. AFib is probably just going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. The weird thing is, if you watch my videos on my channel, The Carnivore Champion, I lift weights, I jump rope, I run sprints. I was doing 5Ks. Year before last, I did 3 5Ks in about a 2-month period of time. I did pretty respectable in my age. I'm almost 59 years old. I have an artificial left hip. I'm in AFib, and nothing slows me down. So even if you have AFib, it doesn't have to be the death sentence or the rocking chair sentence it used to be. If you control it with proper diet, proper sleep, sunshine, and movement, you'd be surprised. I can outdo most men my age, probably the top 25% in this country, as far from a health standpoint at 59 years old. And I live in AFib. And my primary care doctor and my cardiologist, I've shown them videos of me doing sprints and lifting weights and doing push-ups, and they're blown away. They say, man, whatever you're doing is working. And it's very unusual for somebody in their later 50s to have AFib and not get winded just walking to the mailbox. And I could run to the mailbox and knock it down if I wanted to. So having AFib does not preclude you from doing the carnivore diet or doing fasting. Those two things can be beneficial. But people like me, I'm even learning to live a very normal, healthy life, even though I'm in AFib 24/7. I hope I didn't get too wordy there.
Okay. I got a couple more comments here that I want to bring up. Camden says, I'm taking both potassium and magnesium. I have some blood pressure issues, so I'm kind of afraid of too much salt. I know there's been a couple other comments, other people telling you about salt. I want to, first of all, say the comments you're seeing are right. Salt is normally a problem when you're eating carbohydrates because you're holding that excess water in and that's causing issues with high blood pressure. There is, and Dr. Berry will talk about this, there is a very small percentage of people that still do have a problem with salt, even without carbohydrates. So just keep that in mind. So just check it and see. Try the salt and see. If you're not eating any carbohydrates and you eat salt and you're noticing a little bit of higher blood pressure, that could be an effect on you. Typically, if anything, it's only 1 or 2 points though, so it's not enough to be a worry. So that's more of a myth, the common myth that the salt is raising people's blood pressure and is bad for your blood pressure. It's really the carbohydrate that is causing that. And then the other thing I want to bring up here, Linda says, I'm tired of all these commercials. I'm not sure, but I think she might be talking about ads in the video.
Yep.
So if that's what she's talking about, I apologize. We have no control over how YouTube does that. And some people aren't going to get any ads at all. And then somebody might get a bunch of ads. So I apologize if that happened to you. It's how YouTube randomly does it. So we have no control over that. So if that is the commercials you're talking about, I'm sorry that happened to you today.
Yeah, me too.
I've seen a lot of good comments in here about channels for Campton to check out. So I might have missed some of them here, but here's one was talking about Dr. Kiltz. I was just actually on a live stream with Dr. Nelson, who is from Kiltz Health, yesterday. I've been on Dr. Kiltz before. They're both great. So you can check them out. Yeah, Mitch Weiss, formerly, it says sold. I think he meant old Guy Carnivore, but it's now listed as Mitch Weiss. He's got a good channel. Definitely. We've got in here Rockin' Keto Amy, Rick Charger Mopar. Rick does a lot of videos where he's riding his bike and he's, talking about different topics. And it's amazing because he'll be sitting there for 20 minutes riding that bike and he's not getting out of breath at all. So it's great. No Carb Life, Dave Mack does a lot of interviews with different people that have different types of health issues. Great channel. Homestead How is listed here. Carrie Mann, that's another good one. One we have not, I don't see in comments here that I really like to talk about is Dr. Tony Hampton. He is not one of the more recognized doctors in terms of subscriber count, but he's really in the last probably 6 months or so, there's more and more people following him. He does a great job. He's very concise with what the information he gives out there, makes it a very easy manner to understand the way he explains things. So I love his videos. And I did an interview with him like a couple of months ago, and it just posted on Monday of this week. So it's been crazy. Like Monday I had that, and then Tuesday I had the Dr. Nelson thing. So it's been a crazy week. But that interview actually came from a couple months ago. It just took a long time to get it edited and up on the channel. So Johnny, I know we're missing stuff. We've talked about Dr. Sean O'Mara. He's a great one. He really goes into a lot of detail about the visceral fat. Like we said, he shows a lot of proof through MRIs, showing the difference literally in the fat around like the heart and stuff, where it is when people start. After people, in some cases, all they did was just do carnivore. Other cases, they did carnivore and some sprinting or something. And you see the difference in like 90 days. Huge difference. So that's another great channel. What else are we missing that are really great channels for him to look at?
Well, one I really enjoy is Kelly Hogan's channel. I think it's what is it? My Zero Carb Life or something like that. Yeah. Kelly Hogan. Yeah. She's really good. I mean, she kind of comes at it more from a female perspective, but I think it's good to balance it out. One thing I want to say real quickly about Dr. Tony Hampton, and I don't know about Dr. Nelson that you were just on with, Brian, but Dr. Tony Hampton is still a practicing physician. He still sees patients like 5 days a week. Some of the other doctors that we follow, Dr. Baker, Dr. Berry, they've kind of morphed over to more education stuff through YouTube and through some other business practices that they have. But Dr. Hampton still puts on his scrubs and his lab coat. He still sees patients every day. And he's in the Chicago area, in the inner city of Chicago. and he is having unbelievable results. Even though he faced a lot of resistance in his superiors pushing this, but the very low carb or no carb life, he's hit one of his videos is titled, and his mantra is that he is now a healer, not a drug dealer. And so it's pretty cool to have a doctor that still sees patients 5 days a week, that's still practicing medicine today. He probably saw patients today, and he still makes enough time to come on YouTube and share his experience, his knowledge, and his personal story, because he's a carnivore himself on YouTube. So really check him out. There's some others out there too. Dr. Boz. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, and they all give very similar information. I like Dr. Boz.
Like
her name is
Camden
Boswell. She's really good.
Looks like Camden is very familiar with Dr. Tony Hampton, so he said that's where he found me from. So yeah, but yeah, which other ones?
Camden, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
Which others doctor? There's a lot of doctors now that have gone to this. There really has that are promoting it and so forth. Of course, there's Dr. Baker, like you said. I think you said Dr. Baker. Dr. Chafee. Did you say Dr. Chafee after Anthony Chafee? He's a great one.
Chafee still sees patients too. He's still a surgeon.
Yep. There you
so
go.
Camden, why is this female?
Camden's a female, and so you can't ask her how old she is. And yep.
So Brian, that's a funny point. In my line of work, if I have a female patient and I'm curious to how old they are, I always say, "Ma'am, can you verify your date of birth for me?" So it's a way for me to ask them how old they are without saying, "Hey, how old are you?" So Camden, if you can verify your date of birth for me, I mean, are you 20 or are you? Because it makes a difference, I think. If you're like people, like I had a lady tell me yesterday, she can't believe that I'm 59 years old. Because you see other people that are 59 and they're really bad off because they don't follow a proper human diet. They probably sit down too much. They may smoke. They may drink a lot of alcohol. So I feel pretty blessed to be I'll be 59 in March, and I still get along pretty well. I don't know. It probably doesn't make a difference. It's just curious. I get curious sometimes as to how old our audience is. When I check my analytics on YouTube, I like to look. I only have a handful of viewers. I have 3,380 something subscribers, and just a very few are in that 18 to 22 or 18 to 24 age group. Most of mine tend to be close to my age, which is kind of cool. Anyway.
Yeah.
Jason Fung, that's a good one too. He's real big into fasting. He's a kidney specialist.
So Johnny, I know we're kind of like at time here, but that's okay. We go a couple extra minutes here. I'm not always necessarily the most observant person, so I may be totally off here, and you might make me look really stupid. But did you recently just get a haircut, or have you always had it this short for a long time?
No, this is self-inflicted. I'm cheap, Brian. My wife will tell you pretty quickly I'm cheap. So I bought a set of clippers 30 years ago, and I still cut my own hair. So yeah, I had a lot of hair. I think you can look at last week's video. My hair was like yours. You've kind of got more hair now than I think you've ever had that I've seen you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just took the clippers to put it on the 1/8 guard or the 1/4 guard and just all over my whole head. And that's my haircut for the quarter. I get 4 haircuts a year, and I do it myself. And I haven't spent a dime on haircuts in over 30 years. We got another viewer here, Golf Addict 65. You see that, Brian? A new person. I say he's new. I think I've seen him before. Golf Addict 65.
Yeah, I forget their name. Oh, they come from I think Dr. Tony Hampton's channel. Dr. Kiltz.
Yeah,
Dr. Kiltz.
That is a great channel name. A great channel name, because if mine went in the carnivore champion, it'd probably be Golf Addict 67, because I play a lot of golf. I love golf. I have a passion for it.
Here we go. Spanky. That's their name. Yes. I couldn't remember, but yes.
Spanky.
Okay, so the haircut thing. It's funny. It's like we've switched, right? I have not had my hair this long since 8th grade. Okay. I have always kept it short since then. And wow, I don't know. I just did. That was weird. Okay. But the funny thing here is I absolutely hate this. I want to go back to my short hair. It's crazy. I don't know what to say about it. You can't even really see, but like it's just these curl thingies, and I don't know. It's still winter time at least, so it's not too warm, but sometimes I kind of like my head laying on the pillow at night. It gets a little warm with all this hair. I'm just not used to having it. But I am just like you. I haven't paid for a haircut, I think, since I was about probably 20, 22, somewhere in there. I used to go to a barber and they would do the haircut for me, but I have done my own haircut since about then, and I am now 52 years old. So that's for like 30 years. Yeah, probably about 30 years. The same here for me.
Yeah.
I used to use an 1/8 of an inch setting on the razor, and it was really, really
Yeah.
short, and my wife would get upset about that. So now I do like the 1/4 inch one, and that's what I usually do. But right now I'm letting it grow out. I told my youngest daughter that's getting married in May that if she wanted, I could let it grow out if she wanted. That way she could see like if she wanted longer hair or shorter hair for her wedding. And so far, I don't know if she's just messing with me or what, but she's continuing to say, let's see what it continues to look like. My other daughter is getting married next fall in November. Or this fall. So I've actually got 2 weddings coming up this year. And she saw me on FaceTime the other day because she's down in South Carolina. And she goes, yeah, you don't have to worry. For my wedding, I want you to cut it because that looks ridiculous. So we'll see what happens with the first one. But so right now I've been letting it grow out. And I don't know. I think I started letting it grow out in sometime in like November. So it's been like 2 months now. So it proves that, yes, I do have hair, because for the longest time, people just saw me with no hair and thought that I was bald. But yeah. Anyway, there's been a lot here. I've missed a lot of stuff. Spanky says I have shaved my head for 35 years.
Yeah.
Where else we got? Oh, okay. He's from Mitch's channel, Spanky. All right. There's a lot of stuff in here. We're kind of over, so we should probably cut it out. I just want to make sure there's nothing that I'm missing, like a question or anything. Yes, this is a good point, Cynthia. I find it easy to undereat while doing carnivore. And my hair falls out. Make sure you eat enough. Definitely, especially when you're first getting on carnivore, make sure that you're eating enough. A lot of people make the mistake of not eating enough. That's a mistake we probably should have brought up and we didn't. Very good one.
Yeah. And make sure you get enough fat in there. People tend to, because whether we've been trained not eat fat, get that fat in there, get some butter, get some the fat on the steak, get the fattiest hamburger meat you can, because your hair follicles need fat too. A low fat, low calorie diet will cause hair loss, but I just make sure you get enough fat in there. Don't be afraid of fat. It's your friend.
Yep. Okay. We're going to kind of cut it off here. I do want to say I have to go out of town tomorrow afternoon for a couple days, for a few days. I'm going to be out of town helping my one daughter move. And with that, I haven't recorded a Friday video yet, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. My idea, after talking with Camden earlier, was that I'm going to do something on fasting for my video. Hopefully it comes out on Friday. If I don't get the chance to do it, it'll probably have to come out on Monday. So I apologize now. I always come out with videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and sometimes other days. But Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays are usually for sure. And I don't know that I'm going to have one this Friday. So I apologize if that happens. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Johnny, anything coming up on your channel we want to bring up?
Well, I put out a video on my channel today. It's called Carnivore Sucks. It's not what you think. Relax, watch the video. About 10 or 12 minutes long, a longer video than I normally do. I just want to say I hope you enjoy the content, and the song at the end of that video is a banger. It's my favorite song I've ever done. So check out my video on my channel, The Carnivore Champion. It's called Carnivore Sucks. Watch the video and you'll understand. But check out that song at the end and let me know what you think. And with that, Brian, we look forward to being back next week.
All right. So we'll be back next Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, 7 o'clock Central time. And good night, everybody.